Dr. Hajal, sleeplessness affects a lot of Americans, doesn't it?
Right, it's very, very common. At least about a third of Americans get one bad night of sleep in a year, and most of them end up using something over the counter or a natural remedy to help them fall back to sleep.
What is insomnia? Just an inability to stay asleep, go to sleep?
That's true. So insomnia is the fact that you cannot fall asleep initially, or you cannot stay asleep. So in effect, it doesn't really matter how many hours of sleep you do get. What's important is that when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel that you had your rest.
Okay.
And you feel tired throughout the day. And this is the definition of what insomnia is.
And does it affect all age groups?
It does. It affects all age groups, so you can have, everybody knows about the insomnia that children can get, not wanting to fall asleep, to adolescents, not being able to fall asleep initially. But then it gets far worse with age down the road, and it's a lot more common in women than men. Not a lot more common. I would say twice more common in women than in men.
That's a lot. And why would that be, do you know?
We don't really know, but it could be related to hormonal changes that the women would get. We know that it increases a lot around menopause and after menopause, for instance. And it could be cyclical also with their hormonal changes as well.
So elderly folks, they say they get up before the crack of dawn.
Right.
Could that be insomnia?
No, one big misconception is that old people think that they don't need sleep as they used to, which is not true. They can't get sleep. That's so for sure. But they're sitting in a chair in and out of sleep all day long, and that's a sign that they didn't get enough sleep. So elderly people need as much sleep as younger people, and this is personal. So I always ask them, how much were you sleeping when you were 30? And so you can get an indication about how much sleep they actually do need.
So all that napping that goes on with elderly people?
Yeah, that's a problem with them. I mean, it becomes a vicious cycle because they nap during the day, they won't be able to sleep at night, and so on. What happens to elderly people is that frequently they start sleeping earlier. So they go to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then they wake up at 3 o'clock and they come and say, I cannot sleep, but you shouldn't have been in bed at 8 p.m. There are many social issues could be going around, they get bored, there's nobody to talk to, but there are also, we think, brain issues, which is the sensitivity to light is a little bit lost, so they end up falling asleep a little bit earlier as well.
Are there different kinds of insomnia?
There are many kinds of insomnia. The most differentiation we should do is the primary insomnia, which means those people who cannot fall asleep just because they cannot fall asleep, which is a disease in of itself.
And that's primary?
Right. And this is a disease in of itself. And those people would do very well with treatment of the insomnia specifically. But then there are others, and those are more common, insomnia associated with other diseases. Depression, anxiety, or lack of sensitivity to light, as in the elderly people, changes in life cycles and hormonal changes. And there's plenty. The most common one also is aches and pains. There are so many people who have a bad back or a bad knee, and they minimize how much impact it has on their sleep, when in fact it's disrupting it.
Or something like fibromyalgia could disrupt their sleep.
Exactly. And then the lack of sleep, of restful sleep, will manifest itself by having a lower sensitivity to pain, higher sensitivity to pain, which means you'll have also aches and pains and muscle aches from the insomnia to begin with, and then so on and so forth.